The Cleveland Cavaliers are a highly talented, albeit flawed team. They are top heavy as hell with 4 legit all-star caliber stars in the opening unit, but lack a solidified bench, which isn't ideal heading into the postseason for the first time in years. I mean, yeah, Karis LeVert is a lock due to a stellar play off the bench as of late and will likely play as much or around as much as the starters, but behind him, the options are a little less certain. Ricky Rubio may be struggling and has never truly been the poster child for efficiency, as he has never finished a season with a field goal percentage higher than 41.8% and currently holds a career field goal percentage of 38.8%. Even more troubling to this current iteration of the Cavs is that Rubio is also not a very reliable option from beyond the arc. The Spaniard finished this season converting only 26.9% of his triples on just 2.4 attempts. It feels pretty safe to say that he isn't likely to catch fire in the playoffs. Rubio has only been able to suit up in just 32 games this season, but despite that, he's managed to dish out 5 or more assists in 10 games this year. He was one of only 5 Cavs to do so, and when you consider that he's done it in nearly half the amount of games, it truly puts things into perspective for him. That said, the Cavs may have no choice but to keep a close eye on his minute totals if he isn't knocking down shots. Cedi Osman, who just celebrated his 28th birthday, is as hit and miss as they come. He truly personifies the word inconsistent. Perhaps this can be best illustrated by taking a look at Cedi's first 4 games this season, in which he put up 15.5 points per game while completing 52.4% of his field goals, including 47.4% from 3-point range. He then followed that up with 3 straight single-digit performances. That's basically how Cedi's season has gone. Stretches of absolute sharpshooting combined with high-level transition play, and then stretches of ice-cold low IQ basketball. There is often no in-between. It's maddening, but like Rubio, Osman is likely to be part of the playoff rotation. This is because he is one of the few players on the roster who is truly capable of catching fire and knocking down deep-range triples. Although Osman can be inconsistent, he still finished the season shooting over 37.3% from distance, good for 4th on the team among qualified players. He'll get minutes. Following Cedi is a player who may or may not play a big role when playoff action starts. That would be none other than Dean Wade. Look, if I had to summarize Dean Wade's season in one word, the word I'd use? Disappointment. That said, Wade could make all that disdain disappear for good if he is able to occupy a similar role to that of former Cavs big man Kevin Love to some capacity. Knock down the 3-ball and grab some boards, and the Cavs would probably feel a hell of a lot better about their decision to bench Love and then ultimately let him walk via the buyout market. Especially after they signed him to a contract extension. And at 6'9", he has the size of a 4, but has the foot speed necessary to defend threes as well. Quite honestly, after the shoulder injury that he sustained mid-season, he just never truly seemed confident in his shot. His shot still hasn't quite been right, but I will say it was mighty encouraging to see him go 3 of 4 from distance in the Cavs' last game of the season. So at this point, we got LeVert, Rubio, and Osman as the primary reserves. That would make an 8-man rotation if Isaac Okoro is good to go. If Isaac ends up missing time, the door opens up for a few others. According to J.B. Bickerstaff, he is still day-to-day, but time will tell. A tier below those guys are players like Lamar Stevens and Howell Neto, who could both see time against the New York Knicks but are far from guaranteed from it. In the case of Lamar, it could be highly matchup dependent. If the Cavs want to throw out a bigger body for a different look defensively, they could opt to hand Lamar some minutes at both the 3 and 4 in spurts. He still can't hit the 3-ball with any consistency, and defenses will justifiably leave him open, but his work from the mid-range is legit and he can be a real physical defender. Howell Neto, on the other hand, may have an easier path to minutes. He has been productive nearly every game he's seen real action, can be an irritant defensively, and can supplant Ricky Rubio if necessary in the event that Rubio is thinking it up. Now, the player that many fans want to see included in the playoff rotation is one that has only seen action in 8 games for the Cavs this season, and that is 3-time NBA champion Danny Green, a player who holds a career average of 40% from beyond the arc. This man has literally knocked down 1,577 triples over 14 seasons in his career. That is by far the most by any player donning the wine and gold. His reputation as a sharpshooter has been well earned throughout his numerous stops. But the question is, can Danny Green still be counted on to knock those shots down? Well, the answer appears to be a resounding yes if the last few games are any indication. And yes, I know it's a tiny sample size, but Green's shot looks rust-free, and the best part of that is he doesn't need the ball in his hands at all to get the shots up. While he is quite capable of pulling up, he has always been much more of a threat as a catch-and-shoot option. In fact, in Green's last healthy season, He completed 41.4% of his catch and shoot triples.
To the corner, Green run off, gets it back. Oh, nice little two-man action. Green connects on a three.
Vic ended up playing, and he looks very comfortable for them, and they look comfortable playing with him.
Green with an answer. Here's Harris. Finds Green in the corner. He got it.
And using his body to create that separation at the last second.
Embiid finds Green wide open. Another three for Maxey. Green, Thibault, Embiid, and Harris, the 5 for the Sixers. Green again. Final minutes of game 3. Maxey kicks. Green gets the roll. Danny Green.
Even more telling than that, roughly 3.7 of his 4.4 total three-point attempts were catch and shoot triples. He could be a tailor-made fit for what the Cavs bench has lacked for most of the season. A dead-eye shooter. For a team that only knocks down 11.6 triples per game, which is good for 19th in the NBA, Cleveland may not want to let a man of his talents go to waste. Especially after not making any moves at the deadline and seeing him coolly knock down triples in back-to-back outings. One thing is for certain, he is not what he once was as a defender. He doesn't look nearly as nimble as he used to pre-injury. So the Cavs might have to do some work to hide him on that end of the floor, especially with the matchup against the Knicks, who present a difficult challenge for the Cavs due to their size advantage, especially off the bench with players like former Cavalier Isaiah Hartenstein and Obi Toppin. That said, he is way too valuable as a shooter in my opinion to not see any action at all in the postseason. I would be very surprised if J.B. Bickerstaff didn't give him a look. The problem is going to be finding a place for him in the rotation. If fully healthy, the Cavs may have to consider running a 9-man rotation and then would have to face the reality of having to pick 2 out of the trio of Dean Wade, Cedi Osman, and Green for the 8th and 9th spots. Having a player who has suited up in more than 165 total playoff games and shot 38.9% from 3-point range in them is a luxury for such a young and inexperienced squad. When asked recently if there was room for him in the playoff rotation, J.B. Bickerstaff stated the words, "I believe so. He's a professional shooter. He has the ability to get to spots and get his shot off. He understands defenses. Obviously, you have to account for him when he's on the floor." That last point is what really sticks with me. Like we've seen time and time again, defenses are yet to respect Isaac Okoro from range. The same can be said for players like Lamar Stevens and a slew of other Cavs who don't consistently knock down the 3-ball. Green, on the other hand, has legitimate gravity. Defenses will have to account for his presence. That's vital for freeing up players like Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, and Evan Mobley for double teams. He may not initially be included in the playoff rotation, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if his number was called eventually.